Have you seen Star Wars?
We are now 10 episodes into The Bad Batch, and the last episode was episode 10 called Common Ground, and I think this is how you do a filler story right. This is a episode that you can skip and not miss a beat, and I guess it is kind of important in one sense, and of course we do talk about spoilers in the reviews, but more or less this episode was a filler, but it was a fun filler, and I feel like it was a needed filler for a few reasons. One of them is kind of the perspective that we had on the Clone Wars. So the entire premise of this episode is that there is a separatist senator on the planet of Raxus, which is the capital planet for the separatists. I can't remember exactly, but basically it's where the separatists are all based and likely meet up and what have you. And basically he realizes that he does not like the Empire taking over his people, and he is there to serve the people, so because he retaliates, he has to be separated and he has to be rescued by the Bad Batch group, and they come and break him out of jail. It's a really cool story, and honestly, one of my favorite parts about this was the planet itself. I don't think we've explored Raxus before. If we have, I don't know. This place looks like it could be from Earth. This place is beautiful. It looks like the perfect college campus that you would want to go to. I thought this episode was really beautiful. A lot of people did complain about the sound mixing, some of the music, or not even just the music, some of the voice acting too wasn't amazing. It just sounded like it wasn't mixed properly as compared to the other episodes. I personally didn't notice anything, but this is an episode I wouldn't mind rewatching, and I could keep a closer ear on that. But still, one of my favorite parts about this episode was the fact that the Bad Batch and Omega were separate. I think that was something that needed to be done because Omega is so attached to them now that so far it has felt like, and up until the last few episodes, that she is not really needed with the group. And in this episode, it changes things a little bit. They go on their own mission, and Omega does her own thing. She is back at the saloon with Sid, the lady who's been hiring the Bad Batch, and I loved their dynamic, the fact that Sid is kind of this a little bit bitter, a little bit angry old lady, and she tries to give guidance towards Omega, but Omega doesn't really want it. She's not really going to tolerate Sid's bullshit, and Sid wasn't really going to tolerate it either, but then they found common ground on working together for this game that we saw on the Millennium Falcon from A New Hope, and that's still being played today, and Mega's great at it, and I think this is going to play something into the future, but she is really good at strategy, which was shown because she is beating everybody, and Sid is saying this has never been done before, and also at the end of the episode, she pays off all the Bad Batch debts. So that is a good thing for them because now we have a clean slate. For a while, it's been the Bad Batch have to keep a low profile, we have to make money, and when it came to Sid, it was we have to do missions to pay off our debts. Now that their debts are paid off, they will likely be making more money in the future with Sid, maybe a couple more episodes of them doing bounties, but I feel like this is where the story is going to pick up a little bit more because now they have nothing that's grounding them to that planet. Now they can possibly make some credits, feel comfortable, and get out into the real world of the galaxy for Star Wars, and we may see that here. But one of the most unique aspects of this episode that I think may go underneath a lot of people's nose is Echo. I think Echo actually had a lot more in this episode in terms of character progression or just character spotlight than he has in any other episode, which is very sad to say because he is the character that we should know more than any of the Bad Batch members. I think he is the least developed character in the series, which is really sad because he wasn't really developed at all in the Clone Wars either. But in this episode, when it comes to talking about the Separatists, he is the one who is constantly hellbent on being against them. And they don't really explain why, and he doesn't even really explain why, but I feel like the reason we as an audience would know that is because look at him. Look at what the Separatists did to him in Clone Wars Season 7, and this is where I get a little frustrated with the Bad Batch as a series and a narrative, is that they never talk about that, because for him, the Separatists are the people who kept him locked up in that tank for years, who messed with his mind, turned him into this half-man, half-machine, and used his brain and his strategies to help kill his brothers in the war. So it would be understandable that he has a lot of unchecked aggression towards them, and that's kind of where I have a problem with this episode, is that its description is reading as the ideology of the Bad Batch has to be challenged and changed, but we don't really see that. We see them help the Separatists, we see them being a little upset with this. Hunter at first is like, oh, I don't want to help a Separatist, but Tech doesn't seem to really care, Wrecker doesn't really seem to care. It just seems to be Hunter and Echo who had a little bit of a issue with it, but in terms of ideology, none of that was changed, and I feel like that should have been a little bit more of a focus in this episode, considering that is what the description read as, and considering it could have developed a lot of our characters a lot more, mainly when it comes to Echo. I really think Echo could have had a lot bigger of an arc in this episode, and of course over the entire series. He was the main clone from Season 7 going into the Bad Batch series, and he's been kind of pushed aside for Wrecker, for Hunter, and Omega. I would say Tech, but I don't feel like Tech's getting a lot of shining light either. I still really enjoyed this episode though, and I'm looking forward to what happens in the next episode. I feel like we're finally getting out of the situation they have been in of trying to crawl out of that debt that they owed to Sid, and Omega's finally stepping into her own kind of arc and her own role in the Bad Batch. She seems to be a little bit more independent now than she was at the beginning of the series, so I'm happy to see that, and I'm happy to see a lot of that progress over just one episode. Giving this episode a rating, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Not great, not awful, but a good and fun time. But tell me your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you guys think of the latest episode from the Bad Batch, episode 10, Common Ground? Did you like it? Did you not like it? If so, why or why not? Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please give it a like, comment, or subscribe, because it does about the channel. If you enjoy Star Wars Only, you become an Only fan, and that's not what it sounds like. All you have to do is press subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you will stay up to date on the latest news in Star Wars. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.